Hello, welcome to Sunday. Today is another day, and we are here on Freetalk with MrB. Last week, we kicked off the conversation associated with compliments when compliments go wrong. Sameena, all you.
Thank you, MrB. Good evening and good morning to everyone around the world, and welcome again to our Free Talk with MrB. Today we have another special guest with us. I'll start off by introducing our guest. We have Dr. Heena with us, who is a general practitioner with the DHA, as well as a diplomat in the International Board of Lifestyle Medicine. And she is also a certified health and nutrition coach. And I won't say too much about her, and allow her to do the talking about herself and tell us how long she's been in UAE and what she is doing, and a little bit about her interests. And then we'll take the conversation forward, of course, with our topic, which is how compliments could go wrong.
Thank you, Sameena. Well, it's wonderful to be here. Yes, to answer your question, Sameena, I've been born and brought up in this country. I'm the third generation in this country, by the way.
Wow.
Yes, so I've been here all my life. So yes, along with the credentials you mentioned, yes, I'm not a very traditional doctor you see in the clinic. I'm not someone who will sit and write to you your medical, just your drugs, but I also sit and write your exercise, your nutrition, your sleep, and how do you eliminate your tobacco and how do you manage. So that's the prescription pad, the things that you're going to get with me. I'm also an owner of Home of Figs and Olives. It's a company which was started to help people understand their body and to give people a chance to let their body help them heal themselves, because it is we are miraculous beings. We've been created in such a wonderful way, but people don't seem to realize that. But if you give a body a chance, you can heal. And you don't need to take in so many chemicals, and you can just get better on your own. So we help people understand that. We understand that everybody is unique, their requirements are unique, and we cater to their needs. So it could be anything. So we understand the root cause analysis of any condition. Instead of treating the symptoms, we decide to treat the cause of the disease so that the signs and symptoms do not occur or does not get worsened. Yeah.
Excellent. I think in one of our events, you also spoke about your healing your sister. If you could just tell us a little bit for our audience.
Yes. I 5-6 years back, my sister, she was diagnosed with lupus, which lupus is an autoimmune condition. What happens is your body starts injuring yourself because they don't identify their own body. So your body is attacking itself. So it's a very scary disease, unlike any other disease. So when my sister was diagnosed with that condition, she had reached the extreme thing of kidney failure, her lungs failure. She had episodes of seizures. And basically, it was like we didn't think that she's going to come out alive of it. She was admitted in the ICU. But somehow after she stabilized, we decided on the journey of, you know what, we're going to let the body heal, because she was given a lot of biologics. Then we decided, we started her on a whole food diet, vegan diet. Then we started doing the mind, body, soul connection, where we started making her feel positive, because of course she had lost her eyesight for some time. She was not able to breathe. So it was a very difficult situation because the body, the antibodies had attacked every organ in her body. So this is the process. That's why Figs and Olives started, because through the food, instead, right now she's not on any medications because it's just the food. Yes, alhamdulillah. So she's just the food, just the practice of self-calming, meditation, understanding, okay, I'm feeling bloated. So what to eat, what not to eat, what kind of a diet to follow. She has healed. And now it's been 6 to 7 years, no medications. Even her rheumatologist, her nephro, all the doctors, when they look at her, they're surprised, like, how is it even possible? But I mean, that's what it is. I mean, give your body a chance and it will heal.
Excellent.
Nice.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really super inspiring. And with so much of passion, you have done it for your sister. Alhamdulillah. We all pray for her good health. And on the show, we also have Ms. Dedra Stevenson with us, as well as Professor Mia, who are my co-speakers and co-hosts of this show, I would call them, along with Mr. B. I would let you guys also interact with each other and ask whatever questions you have for each other. And yes, of course, we'll hear a little bit about the topic itself. Let's start with the speaker. I'm sure in your lifestyle coaching for your patients, or I wouldn't call them patients, for your individual clients, probably, you do have to give a lot of compliments at times, Dr. Heena. So when you give a compliment, or when they are receiving a compliment, or maybe there's a situation where for a long time nobody's even complimented them. So how have you been able to motivate your individual clients who you take up lifestyle coaching for? And how do they take the compliments?
So just to begin with, when you say compliment, what is a compliment? What happens to your mind when you give somebody a compliment? Your mind is trying to embrace that unpredictable situation, and they're going to engineer the unexpected. I'll tell you what I mean by that. When a person receives the compliment, firstly, they're not expecting it. So they have this moment that they're frozen. Okay, oh, somebody just said something about me. And it's all happening in that matter of microseconds. The second thing is that, okay, so this person has said this. So why has this person said this to me? So what happens when it could be a conflict of interest, because the views that I have about myself, which are negative, is not the positive views that the person is telling me. Then what happens? Then your brain is doing, then it shifts the perspective because it has registered, okay, I've received something. And then the person is going to react. So how do they react? They will react back. They'll just joke about it. Yeah, sometimes I just get the job done. Or they will tell you, oh no, it's really not big a deal. It's not me, it's all you. They'll start this ping pong game of giving the one who's given you the compliment, they'll start giving them the compliment back. No, it's all you. Or they will just like get an awkward smile and be like, no, just forget about that. Oh, but how was the game last night? So they're going to say that. Or sometimes they're just going, no, I'm not that good at all. What did I do? I've done nothing. They'll just try to degrade themselves. Or, there are different kind of responses. So when you think about it, why are they responding the way they do? You start thinking deep. Then you start thinking, okay, how, for me as a coach, I'm wondering, because I compliment them to see their reaction. So these different kind of reactions that I get, I start thinking and I start questioning them. So I start asking them, so how is your culture like? Is it normal in your culture to compliment? Or how is it, how were you brought up in a way? Was it was a norm in your house to compliment someone? Were you complimented a lot as a child? Were you not complimented as a child? Were you teased in school as a teacher's pet? So you just want to dust off a compliment because you don't want to live through that fear again? Or you have watched your parents who would praise somebody at the party, but come back home and be like, oh, did you see that? And you are like, as a child, you're like, you just said something nice about them. And then what happened? Or you've watched, or you've seen, as you have grown up as an adult, you've seen that people are using this flattery to just get a favor, a job done. So you see, it's so complex. You don't understand why, who's reacting. So when whoever's receiving the compliment, there's so much. There's this whole influx and a ball of emotion that is happening inside your body and your mind. They're like, you don't know how to react. Then you react, as I said, how you would. So yes, it is important, because how you react to a compliment or who is giving you the compliment, it is actually speaking about their upbringing, what was normal to them. For some people, it is very normal to compliment. It just comes, it's very easy for them to compliment. It doesn't even feel fake. But for some people, you feel that, oh, they're really trying hard to get the boss's attention, that, oh no, boss, you're doing really well. I love the suit. I mean, I've seen that at work. So they feel like, oh no, they're really trying to get attention. I remember I just lost it at work, and one of my senior, I'm like, I was telling him, do you know that why I'm still here at work? Because I like you as my senior. You make life so easy. And he was so taken aback. He's like, what is Dr. Heena telling me? Because he has never, then I asked him when I was a little bit calm. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't put you in an awkward situation. He's like, Heena, nobody has ever come to me and told me that I like working with you and you're a good boss and you make life easy. So you see, so people are not used to it. Because we are living in a world where it has become a normalcy that people will tell you something because they want something to get done or something. There's always like, no, he said something, that there's something, there's a give and take relationship. It's just not give. But as in my lifestyle coaching, Sameena, what I tell my clients, and when I understand why they are, behaving like that, and why do sometimes they take things in not in a positive way, in a negative way. So I tell them, okay, listen, let's not complicate things. Let's make it simple. You may not agree to what the person is telling you, what the compliment that you received, you might not agree with it, but let's try to shift our perspective. Let's not think about ourselves. Let's think about the person who's given us the compliment. So we will put it as the compliment says more about the giver of the compliment than the receiver, because that person is expressing how you made them feel. How did that particular presentation or the food that you made or the talk that you said impacted them? So accepting that what they said, of course, it's not easy because every situation is different. This is just one example that I'm giving you. So instead of just, being negative, because there's a lot of negativity, we don't need negativity. We have to start embracing positive. It's a very difficult shift. And it doesn't happens in one session. You have to keep on saying that because we don't know what is going on in people's mind. And our mind is too quick to judge the negative. It's always too quick. We respond to negativity so quickly. Oh,
that's what what we brought up last week, because we brought up some things where we say how compliments can go wrong. And Sameena, I think Dedra had something that relates to what she was saying.
Yes, absolutely. Ms. Dedra, I think you should just go ahead and speak about it. Just before the talk, we were discussing that, how important it is for people to be aware that, they deserve the compliment and how do they take it. Right. Yes, Ms. Dedra, can we hear from you?
Well, I had a couple of private comments after our last session through social media. And I really want to honor those that, reached out for it. And I think that, it's most definitely something I can relate to. I shared something personal with you guys last time regarding my own upbringing in that regard. That compliments, first of all, let me restate what I think, about compliments. Compliments as a child, for a child, are just as important as food. It's just as important as food, water, shelter, and air. They are needed, to build a healthy self-esteem. And it's really stunning for me that some parents are so selfish that they don't even want to give their own child enough, good words, to build that healthy self-esteem. I don't know what the deal is there. That's their own demons are there in their own upbringing, that prevents them from giving, that very important, very easy thing to give. But now they can also be used in the adult world. They can also be used as medicine to heal those that are damaged in some way. They can help, they can heal, and they can also be used as poison, or an addictive drug. Now, as for my friends, who spoke to me about it, in one case in particular, this person had been so mentally abused, growing up, that now in adult years, it felt very strange, to be complimented by anyone. She felt nervous, and she didn't want to, she didn't even want to believe it. On some level, she felt like she didn't deserve it. because that's what she had been trained to believe, that she didn't deserve to feel good, about herself. So the refuge of the mentally abused person, the first refuge is always humor. As you said, I mean, you hit it on the head there when you said that they'll usually laugh about it and make a joke of it. In fact, I would go so far as to say that I think that people who are the funniest people in the world are probably the ones who went through the most damage, because humor is a way to deflect a lot of pain, and it's a coping mechanism for some. I mean, I can tell you that from personal experience, that if I didn't have humor, God help me, I wouldn't have had any way of getting through a lot of the things that I've gone through in life. And I know my friend and the other person that chimed in after our last discussion, what they went through made what I went through look like a picnic by comparison. I'm just saying that there's some really horrible experiences out there, and self-esteem is so needed, so I don't know that it's about the complimenter, but it's about self-esteem in general. I think your ability to receive a compliment graciously or without discomfort has a lot to do with your own self-esteem. And if you find yourself having a problem with that, then self-esteem building is probably needed. That's just me.
Yeah.
You guys could disagree.
No, it's something similar to what we brought up in the last session. Again, the art of giving back. This is something we're trying to give back, and so if we're not giving it back accurately, we can cause as much harm as we intended to cause good. And so, sure, as the doctor pointed out, and so on. Sameena?
Yes, absolutely. I do agree with all of you. And I was just thinking of instances when, so many things did happen, even in my experience throughout my life. But yes, I do agree with Dr. Heena, where she says that, it also is a reflection. A compliment is also a reflection of the person who's giving the compliment, of his intention, of, how he wants to make the other person feel. And it has to be authentic, like I said in my last episode. Let's hear from Professor Mia. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, firstly, I really, 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 really love the topic, and I agree with Dr. Heena in majority of everything that she said. Yes. I agree with a lot that everybody has said today. The one thing I think I have said before, and I'll reiterate today, is when it's about compliments, as much as it's about the complimenter giving it to you, it's also a lot about the recipient. Like Dr. Heena was saying. And of course, she's trained, some of us are trained, majority of us are trained and equipped mentally to know how to perceive something. So your perception of what that compliment is actually going to create the reaction to it. And as she was talking about earlier, that reaction is how she will, for example, assess her client sitting in front of her. My heart, though, goes out to those who are not equipped with that mental capacity to be aware of certain things. If you are not aware, if you are a layperson who just does not know, and you leech onto every compliment, even though they might be a gender, and what happens then? How are you able to know A, B, and C and the differences between them? So compliments are given, yes, wholeheartedly by some, it's a genuine and authentic, and we pray that Allah creates everybody to become that authentic. But I have personally also experienced people that I, for example, know and have question marks on my checklist who stand in front of me and would compliment me. And when they do this, I'm like, did you really just mean that? How do I say thank you? Because I'm just not a hypocrite either. So, it's like you were saying, it's a lot of things happen. But the major thing for me is what happens to people that are not mentally equipped to assess quick enough when a compliment is given. And then there are those who actually really latch onto, I need this compliment. And they have an expectation of receiving it and they don't receive it, So
that's when it can be the drug, right? The addictive drug, that if you're the kind of person that doesn't get it normally, and you feel that high, of having someone say something nice about you, and then you'll be addicted from that moment on. You won't be able to stop, hounding after more. You'll be fishing for compliments, and that's just awful, you know.
Yeah, I agree with Dedra because, I've got a 4-year-old son and he is so used to, oh, yay, you wrote an alphabet A. Oh, you ate your rice. So because I get to see him only once a week or just twice a week. So when I'm coming home, he's going to give me all the list of things he's done and he's waiting for me to respond. He's like, Mom, I wrote A. Okay, Mom, I wrote A. So until I respond, oh, wow, Hassan, you did that. That's a good job. You did. He will not stop. Then he'll continue. You keep on praising me. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing from Mom. I think it's a good thing from Mom. As for me, I poured on the compliments from my children. I probably reined it down, a little too hard so that they would have more self-esteem than they needed, for this world. Because I figured even if they're a little bit arrogant, it's better than being, having a low self-esteem like what I was raised with, because this world will eat you alive. If your self-esteem is too low, it's better for them to feel a little bit too good about themselves.
There's a close interplay between the acknowledgement and self-esteem. This is so important, so important, and that's something that you sort of seed in the younger stages of life.
Right.
Yes.
So in the book, the art of giving back, the idea for me first, like I said, was to bring up the point of how compliments could go wrong, because I think I did it wrong. But at the same time, as I become a parent and a grandparent, and now as I always claim, I'm 60 years old now, I learned a lot. And culturally, even emotionally, or even having a proper understanding of what you're actually doing, the subject we brought up was to make sure that we're reaching our audience, and that we're not, even like when we speak to our children, we're not lying to them. If they're not good at something, I'm not going to tell them they're not good at something.
No, yeah, lying is, I don't mean to lie.
Right.
No.
So we want to encourage them. We don't want to mislead them into thinking they're good at something when indeed they're not. And so the compliment has to be well placed, well managed, and become effective, so that it can reach its goal, reach its target. And as we say medicinally, a good compliment is going to heal. Bad compliments are going to hurt. But when a compliment goes wrong is when you think you're giving a good one, but it's having an ill effect.
Yes.
Exactly.
Dr. If that's okay.
I think your voice was cutting off, Professor Mia. If you could repeat what you just said.
Sorry, I just wanted to know, can I ask Dr. Heena a quick question, please?
Yes.
I'm sorry. It's just, I would like for lots of people, viewers that are not professional, that, like I was saying, don't have the mental capacity to do assessments for themselves, leave alone be aware of compliments as they should be read. I wanted to ask her, what are her 1 or 2 fine points that any person who's going to be watching this, listening, would be able to take with them that will help them grow within themselves to become aware of when a compliment could be going wrong, and what do they do about it in the process?
I like that question. It's such an important thing to address, to be honest. So usually in my practice, I see people when they're at their most vulnerable state. When they've tried everything in the world, and they come. So when you see people, but generally I tell anybody, and even my son who's so young, take some time out each day before the day ends and before the day begins. You're supposed to reflect. So when you're going to bed, you're going to sit down and you're going to reflect how your day was. What was the good that happened? Okay, what bad happened? How could you have changed it? It's okay. You start talking to yourself, how could I make this situation better, and be thankful for that day. You've got to start questioning them. Okay, because at the end of the day, a lot of things have happened. You've spoken to a lot of people, and especially these times in this era where there is not much human to human interaction. It's more, okay, you're emailing someone or you're just texting them, because it takes an effort. Now anybody picks up the call, telephone and gives them a ring, or takes out the time from their busy schedule and meets, and that is big deal because nobody does that as much. Now with the COVID, again, there was distance. It's more through, like we're doing this through this Zoom meet. I mean, there's no meeting physically, because when you meet physically, that is different. So people have forgotten how it has changed. The perception and how the people receive it has changed. So it is important that they start questioning themselves and start understanding their feelings. How did they feel when someone spoke to them? Because you're not taking time to let a compliment sink in or let a talk sink in. You have to let it sink in to understand what has happened, and then you react to it. So that is important. So you should, if you practice that at the end of the day, and you begin your day with a meditation, and you need to thank each day. I mean, if you're a believer, you're not a believer, I mean, just the fact that you can see, just the fact you can hear, these are so many things to be grateful about. You know, it's simple, but we've made it so complicated. We are so greedy with our wants, never ending wants. We need this, we need that. You know, I think we take a pause, we thank, we understand ourselves, because if we are not going to be at peace with ourselves, we're not going to calm our mind, we are injuring ourselves. So no matter what a person is trying to tell you, if it's genuine, you'll not perceive it in that way. It will always be negative. Try to attract positive. It takes time. It's not impossible, but it takes practice and can happen. That's what I can say.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Well, I hope she answered your question. Sameena, what do you think?
Yes, absolutely. I think even on her card, she says surrender, believe, and patience. These are the 3 words on her visiting card. When I received them, I remember. And she's absolutely relating to what she means when she puts those words in there, that one has to surrender to your own thoughts and believe in yourself and be patient for the transition to happen. And be, aware and accepting of whatever is crossing your way or what you're crossing in this world.
Well, as our time winds down, we're going to ask you one more time, how can people find you if they need your service, and what's the best place to get a hold of you?
Definitely, they can visit my website. There's www.homeoffigsandolives.com, and there's all my contact details. They can reach me there. There's social media handle, Figs and Olives. So either way, they can definitely reach me. My number, my email address, everything is there.
Thank you so much, and thank Sameena for having you on. I know, Dedra, you had additional people you can come on, and we get an opportunity, Mia and Dedra, to bring more people on because it fancies us in the subjects we're having. As we're saying that next week's or the next 2 weeks, we'll bring up the topic how marriage gives to the community. I know we spoke about how spouses give back to the world, but we're taking it from a different angle about marriage itself, because again, 2 people can be together, and it doesn't have to be like, for example, is marriage a way of giving back to the greater community? How is it impacting the community if we have a solid marriages? And it's a nugget from the art of giving back. That's nugget number 5. And over the next 2 weeks, we'll be going over that very nugget and getting feedback and giving feedback while bringing guests on. This is still, it always looks like time is going so fast. The subject is so wonderful. Agree?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
We wanted to talk more about it, but we don't have too much time on hand. So I think we'll wrap up the session. And of course, we can always catch up in person with each other.
Sure. And I believe if your topic is not well, if you had points on the topic or even a guest, we can squeeze them in other times too, because we have 2 weeks of the next subject. And it gives us a chance to bring guests on. There are times that we can have even more than one guest on. It's not a problem. It doesn't have to be one, because we have a room where we can give people the speaking. I try to listen so I can learn.
Yes, same here. Yes.
But thank you all. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thanks, Mia. And thanks, Dedra.
Thanks
you.
Everyone. No worries. It was fun.
Thank you.
Bye.